Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, I'm going to share with you this node setup using Sverchok Add-On in Blender. So basically, I will be using this Python script by Alessandro Zomparelli. He's the guy who actually made a tissue add-on, and he got some tools at his GitHub that you can download, and one of them is this multiple curve array. So basically what this thing does, here in the 3D scene, I have this single element of objects. This is actually something that I made using Sverchok Add-On, and this guy will be instance along all this curve. This is not a single curve, this is like a multiple curve. Normally, if you have an object and you're assigning array and curve, you will get only a single result like this. Now that I actually have this multiple curve, and this guy is actually using that curve. So if I run this script, what's gonna happen is that it's gonna kind of instance that objects using the curve, and so this is what we get. I think I rotate the objects by default by accident, but anyhow, that's the idea. So let's see how we can recreate this from scratch. So file, save as sv array array on curve with script. So this is gonna be like semi-procedural. First of all, we're gonna create the element that we want to duplicate along the curves. So this is gonna be quite an easy one. This one is based on Alessandro Zomparelli tutorial, where he have like a kind of like a cylinder-looking object, and then he extruded the face and then kind of move it down a little bit. So I'll do something really similar. I will center my cylinder, so for that I will be using vector drop. So this should actually center our cylinder, and we need the cylinder to be facing the X. And so I'll do that real quick using rewire. So by default, it's facing the Z positive. Just gonna change it to X. So now we have that, and we can extrude, separate face, something like that, and extrude it out. Oh, this one, I think the normal is kind of flip. Well, I guess that's okay, not to worry too much. And what I'll do here is to select the outer part of this guy. So let's use transform select. Oh, this is a complicated node. Looks really complicated, but it's not really. So we need to select mesh element. So we have the vertices and the polygon, and we want to select it by cylinder. I think cylinder with straight line defined by points. Well, actually, it's easier to use center and radius, I think. Okay. So we're gonna do the masking. And so we're gonna mask the vertices and plug it there. And we're gonna need the polygon and edge. So this is gonna be the vertices, the original vertices. And let's see. And then we're gonna move it. Let's try the X. So we can't see anything yet. Let's try modifying the radius and include partially selected points. So yeah, so that's kind of the idea. You see what I got there? Hopefully that's pretty clear. Let's see if I'm doing this correctly. Polygon edge, what is this? Oh, there you go. That's what I want to create. Sorry. And let's see if I can make this a little bit better. Okay. So anyhow, so we get this thing. It should be actually in the X positive direction. And this is procedural. We can change our cylinder, and we're gonna get different result. I'm gonna keep it at 12. So I'm gonna turn this into an array, but I'm gonna scale it first. And I will use apply, matrix apply, and scale it here. Like so. Scale it to 0.2 or something. And then I'll try it with a curve, Bezier curve. And let's go to edit mode and then extrude it a couple of times. So this guy, we're gonna use array. So by default, array modifier is doing the duplications in X. So that's cool. And the next thing we want to do is to change this fixed count into fit curve. And we're gonna select our curve. And okay, that's fit, seems to be fit the length of the curve, I believe. And then now we're gonna use curve modifier and select our curve. And this curve should be at 0, 0, 0. By doing that, we have our setup ready. So this is the idea. At any time in point, you can extrude the curve. Okay, so now what we're gonna do next is to duplicate the curve. And I believe I just need to select all this curve and join it into a single curve. Control J. And then if I'm doing everything correctly, if I'm using the script by Alessandro that I downloaded from his GitHub, this thing should work. So I'm gonna find the script real quick. So it's in my script folder, modules, AZ, this one, multiple curve. This is the one. Put it in there. So this script is being updated all the time, so you're gonna check it out. So basically, this is our object with array modifier and curve modifier applied. And then, oops, we have the curve, multiple curve joined together and named Bezier curve. So with this guy selected, I will just run the script. So what's gonna happen, of course, you see what happened there. It's being our instance and our curve, everything seems to be working. It's almost like connecting the curve, like duplicating the modifier into different objects. But what actually happened in the background here, you can see it's like they are being separated into each and different curve. So we have like 3 new curve, and for each one of them we have the duplicates. Okay, so that's actually how it works. It's pretty easy. So I'm gonna delete all this guy, and I'm gonna delete Bezier curve, and I still have the object, I believe. Yeah, I still have this procedurally generated objects. And what I will do, I will create a procedural curve here using Sverchok. So I'll start with a line, And let's use noise, or yeah, I think use noise vector, or maybe turbulence, something different. This is the line, it's growing in X directions, and I will generate a curve, polyline viewer. So this is the curve being generated. I'm gonna reduce the step and increase the number of points. So we have this guy, it's made up of a lot of curve. Let me resize the curve using vector math. Multiply scalar, just scale it. So we have our curve. We can use B-spline for smoother curve. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but it doesn't matter. But we have this turbulence looking curve, and let's say I want to have many of this curve. I'm gonna scale it down a little bit. So we can randomize this curve, right? If we want to have multiple of this curve, we can do that really easily. Just use the matrix, and we're gonna join them into a single object really soon. But I will use another line here for our curve duplications. So let's make 10 curve. It's all the same curve you can see here. Currently they are all the same looking curve, so we want to use random range integer. Plug this into the seed, and let's make 10. Okay, 10 of them. Looks like they're all still kind of looking similar. Maybe I need to split it here. Okay, didn't quite work. Maybe vector turbulence is not vectorized, so vector noise. I'm gonna switch to vector noise. I think this actually will give a different result. Okay, there you go. Yeah, vector turbulence is not vectorized as I wanted, but that's okay. Use vector noise now, and you can see based on this we have, let's make a curve with 250 points, and this is 10 curve, all with different shape, and we want to use them to instance our object, this guy. Okay, let's see if this works. What's our curve? Okay, our curve is actually, we have too many curves at the moment. We need to turn it into a single object. So now everything's clean. We have just alpha and beta. So with this guy, let's point out our curve, beta curve. So we have this already happening. What we're gonna do next is maybe we want to control the radius a little bit here. So we have control over the radius, which is really cool actually. To think about it, we can use a random number float, plug this into the radius, and I believe we can have some variations like so. And if we run the script from Alessandro Zomparelli, this guy right here, we're gonna have the instance on every single curve, right? This is very cool, and it's actually pretty advanced. Don't know if you ever gonna use this, but if you have like a hair strand or something, you know, like a single curve objects with multiple curves inside it, and you want to repeat this same process, array modifier with curve modifier, and then you want to kind of just copy it into all across the curve, you can use this script. So this is where script, the script can really help the process. Let's say I'm doing something different to the curve. Let's make, let's save this first. This is how I did it. This is the basic one. Let's say we have random vector. Let's have like 50 of them. and I'm gonna use randomizer and plug this into this guy. I'll have a lot of curve, right? And I will actually make sure this is like 50 curve, 50 seed for the curve. So now we get something that's even more random. But you can see there's one guy right there, the master, that's kind of being duplicated. I mean, where's the master? That guy right here. So this guy is the alpha 0, and that's the master. And if we just run the script, it's gonna duplicate it on each and every curve once again. So yeah, I think that's really cool. And so if you are doing like a lot of 3D print job, and maybe this is gonna be useful for you, is because it's almost like a thread, a really complex thread that you can just use it to modify curve. It's adding details very quickly. So there you go. I guess I have to thank Alessandro for this inspiration, and give it a try. Go to GitHub and find this script by Alessandro, and then download it and try using your own element, and duplicate it into curve. If I'm not wrong, the curve can have different lengths as well. If you want to do that, you can randomize the number of vertices here with line. But that's the idea. I really procedurally generated the element objects, and then procedurally generated the curve. But the curve itself can be Blender hair particles, I believe. And then if you can create a single curve objects with multiple curves inside it, and you can dynamically move it, and you might have an interesting result. So let's see what you can come up with. So hopefully this is useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.